You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to round 5 of the 4th weekly for the Eternal Tournament Series Season 5. I'm, of course, your host, Bairdrus, once again joined by my wonderful co-host, Sir Rhino.
Hello. So here we go, round 5, and we've got a matchup of a 4-0 bracket. We've got two players that are currently undefeated, and this is actually a matchup that we saw earlier in the tournament. We've got AngryChicken on his big Combray mid-range kind of list against SMJ, who is on Dark Praxis, which we saw this exact matchup. We saw AngryChicken play against Dark Praxis earlier. Obviously, AngryChicken being undefeated got the win there, but we'll see if he can run it back again here with this matchup. It was a really fun match to watch earlier, and I'm hoping that we have the same amount of fun this time around.
Yeah, a notable thing, or a notable difference, I guess I should say, is SMJ's sideboard doesn't have Sand Viper in it, which I think was one of the things that really kind of carried the earlier matchup today. The Dark Praxis deck having Sand Viper, it wasn't super crucial, but we did see some very cool interactions in it with sticking the killer Predator's Instinct and then Dark Returning it, so see if that plays out as we go into the early turns of the game. SMJ's hand looking very, very weak here, unfortunately. He's only got this one Seek Power and an Annihilate, so not the best start in the world.
Yeah, not quite the proactive mid-range game plan that you want out of your deck. But at least the fixing's good. But in the meantime, AngryChicken is going to be working towards establishing a nice board here. If he ever draws, like a Combray banner, he's just going to have all the pressure in the world. This Awaken Student is just a large lifesteal unit thanks to Spirit Guide. And now you can debate between dropping the Titan or the Obelisk. Into 4 open power, you might be tempted to just drop the Obelisk so, Sandstorm Titan doesn't eat power on your turn. But it's just better to drop the big fatty and make him have it. And now that you find Protect, this is going ugly for SMJ here. Now he's got to do like killer shenanigans to deal with this, and that means you're not going to have a unit back. And yeah, he's just AngryChicken dropping another unit here. Now Xenon Obelisk could be lethal this turn, but SMJ gets to warp 6/6 into play and maybe get a free spell here. Let's find out. Yeah, free Predator's Instinct. There you have it.
Yeah, free Predator's Instinct is pretty good here. This is going to let him take care of Sandstorm Titan. He still is under an immense amount of pressure, but he does have a second Heart of the Vault in hand that he'll be able to play on the following turn. AngryChicken not going to lose, or rather SMJ not going to lose this turn, so he will have another turn to establish this next Heart of the Vault and hopefully get himself back into the game.
Yep, so we'll see what SMJ hits off this Heart of the Vault. Maybe another Predator's Instinct, but no. And there is the Vanquish, and that'll certainly end the game here. SMJ has a Torch in hand, but it can't hit any of these units, especially through a Protect. And yeah, just looking at 4 extra power with 7 power already in play. The Vaults did a good job of trying to get him back in this game, but it looks like it's just not quite enough. Oh, AngryChicken opting to just play a unit there rather than go for the kill. Not sure what he was concerned about. Maybe a free spell of some sort off of Heart of the Vault, and then decided it was better to go 3 wide.
Could have just trying to play safe, I guess. AngryChicken. SMJ possibly could have punished him if he had top decked another useful card, like maybe another Heart of the Vault. But SMJ just found a banner there.
Yeah.
So.
I just feel like with a Protect in hand, the Vanquish Protect line just seems really straightforward there. Your opponent doesn't have any ambush units or things to really mess with. But AngryChicken opted to take his time and still gets the kill anyway. SMJ only finding more power, just a 12 power draw there is not what he was hoping for.
Yeah, so game 1 going over to AngryChicken fairly quickly. Got off to a very aggressive start. So let's take a look at our player sideboards as we're going to get ready for game 2. Take a look at SMJ's deck to start. Obviously, he's on this Dark Praxis list.
I like those maidens.
Yeah, I love Statuary Maiden in these matchups. Very, very important card. Shatterglass Mage, another fantastic card, going to be able to take care of the obelisks. He does have 2 copy already in the main, so it comes down to how many copies he thinks he wants. So that'll be more about if he has cards in his main board he needs to cut out. Charchain Flail, not a terrible card either. It's not fantastic, but sometimes you do just have to knock out an annoying threat, and that might be one of the only ways that he can find to deal with a reality ward pretty cleanly without having to worry about a card like Protect.
Yeah, notably SMJ does not have multiple Flame Blasts like Ski J did earlier, and that we saw how clutch that card was in the matchup. So does not have access to more Flame Blasts, even though that card's great. But yeah, Charging Fall does a decent impression, just can't go face on a very crowded board.
Yeah, so on the other side of AngryChicken, I have to imagine he's going to sideboard very similarly to
Same
how
plan.
he did in the other game. Yeah, just going to bring in the Combra Healers, a Martial Ironthorn or 2, and at least 1 copy of Leave a Witness. So
Yeah, just going to go with the old transformative, go a bit bigger than the other mid-range deck that you're up against and make that work. Reality Wardens will still stay in. They shut down Dark Return and other shenanigans, and it's just a large unit that dodges most of the removal and is hard to remove. And yeah, it looked like SMJ even brought in the Zenith initiations. Even though they're a little bit more expensive than Predator's Instinct, that +1/+1 can make all the difference when both players are slinging around 6/6s and 5/6 and stuff like that. That extra point of health can go a long way, even though it costs 1 extra power.
yeah, absolutely. Should be moving into the game in just a second, folks. So bear with us.
The challenge is out, and here we go.
Yeah, let's see who can take it down this one right here. SMJ's starting hand definitely going to have to be a redraw there. AngryChicken. AngryChicken's looking not nearly as aggressive here, but he does have some of that solid end game he's looking for in Mystic Ascendant and Sandstorm Titan. It's hard to call Sandstorm Titan an end game card, but
yeah, and he's got a Desert Marshal, which is one of the best cards you can have. Silence is certainly messing with what SMJ already has in hand. The good news is here, SMJ at least has all the fixing he wants. The bad news is it's very, very slow. But he'll have triple time, triple fire, and double shadow. So as long as he draws more power, he'll be able to play out all of the cards in his deck.
Yeah, which is very, very important for him, obviously. You know, we touched on this in the earlier matchup with Ski J. The influence requirements in the Dark Praxis deck are very, very heavy. So meeting them all early is good, although he definitely would like to have more of an aggressive start here. And this Dawnwalker is probably going to get taken down by a Desert Marshal in the next turn or 2. So it's not going to be a card he can rely on too much. Though, you know, he does have a ton of threats that AngryChicken would like to silence here, obviously. The Copper Conduit is going to be very frightening if he's allowed to Dark Return that multiple times.
Yeah, a hand of basically all seats and no sigils can be slow to develop, and we're seeing it here. He's got to decide if he even wants to play this 4/4 Copper Conduit out. Again, his opponent's got a Sandstorm Titan. He's not really doing anything here except giving him a Dark Return target once it does die. Opts to not play it, and AngryChicken just continues with the beats for now.
Yeah, he does notably drop his Desert Marshal here to take down the Dawnwalker, something I expected to happen, though that is going to free the Copper Conduit up.
Also frees the Predatory Carnosaur up if SMJ can curve into it here, but does not draw an undepleted power there, and will have to settle for Obliterating.
Yeah, and I definitely like Obliterate here. Taking care of the Sandstorm Titan while you can. Could have very easily been punished by a Protect from AngryChicken, but that's just one of the risks you have to take that off of the board.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to bring the board back to a nice, stable position for the time being, and AngryChicken hasn't gotten very aggressive here, so...
Yeah, he could have been punished by Protect, but more importantly, could not get punished by Stand Together, and finding that opening to maybe sneak around that is a good thing, and then finds the 6 power, opts to drop the Copper Conduit and save the Predatory Carnosaur for a bigger thing to eat than just a 2/5.
And this is huge right here. We see AngryChicken dropping the Mystic Ascendant, expected out of him since he can play it, but since SMJ did hit that 6 power, likely we're going to see a Predatory Carnosaur come in here. Oh,
SMJ finds an Obliterate. Yeah.
Even better for him. Wow. And there's a Heart of the Vault coming up next.
Yeah, I think it's correct to be responsible there and take out the Mystic Ascendant rather than try and get value off this vault. But AngryChicken's got double Great Parliament here. That is 16 attack in the air if he so chooses to go that route, and he does. So SMJ's got to find a solution to this flying problem. He's already at 18. He even opts to hit for 6 and try and race these flyers rather than, hold back the 6 damage or the 6/6 to block the 2/5. But there's one flyer down.
This is going to be really rough right here. I mean, the 2-turn clock here, what is SMJ going to do to stop this now? Like, where is his anti-flying package? He needs a Sandstorm Titan. That's going to be the card that lets him survive here, and it's probably only going to be Sandstorm
Even
Titan.
that doesn't let him survive because the opponent drops so many other units. He's at 6. He can block most of the damage, but not all of it, even if he finds it. But let's see what's off the top of SMJ's deck. Well, Heart of the Vault comes down after drawing a Seed of Impulse, and that's almost certainly not going to get the job done. 0-cost Quarry, very, very cool. I don't think there's a card you can find off that gets him.
No, unfortunately not. So AngryChicken going to lock this series up in a fairly convincing fashion. 2-0. Looks like a matchup he is very comfortable playing, although, we have touched on this matchup being definitely in Combree's favor.
Yeah, just slightly bigger units plus some actual flyers. Those are both of Praxis's natural weaknesses. The Shadow Splash tries to shore that up with, the Annihilate, Dark Return, Predator's Instinct package, but I don't know if that's quite enough to make that match even close to favorable.
Yeah, not quite, unfortunately. So we will be waiting on a backup match here, folks. So just bear with us for a moment. I do think we have something else we can talk about, though, outside of that brutal matchup right there. AngryChicken just such a great pilot of Big Combry. I can't overstate that fact enough. He is just a fantastic player with that list. We've seen him time and time again take Big Combry to great finishes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Combray doing what it does. Go back to the drawing board with Dark Praxis. But again, SMJ 4-1 still, very much alive to get in the top 8. It's not like it's not like that deck is some pushover. It just is just struggled a bit there to keep up with the Combray beats, but that's not always going to be the case, as we saw with Ski at least taking a game off AngryChicken earlier. Certainly some cool stuff going on with that deck that we'll have to see how it continues to evolve and iterate moving forward. Notably, SMJ, as you said, didn't have the Vipers in the sideboard. Instead, had 4 Grenadin drones. Tried to go with like this. I think that's to help compensate against certain aggro matchups and swarmy matchups like Skycrag aggro, where just getting 2 1/1s down early can buy you a lot of time. I would guess that's what the card is for sideboard wise.
Yeah, it does help out quite a bit with your Skycrag matchup, whereas Sand Viper, as you said, it's a 2-drop. On top of that, it's very bad against quick draw units. You only get 1 chump blocker instead of 2. It doesn't handle the early Oni Ronin. So, yeah, that makes actually some degree of sense. But it unfortunately doesn't help you out in those bigger matchups like the Big Combry that we obviously saw AngryChicken playing there. We do have a backup match for you all. It's going to be a Lunex versus a Red World. Let's take a look. We saw a Lunex earlier. This is game 3. Let's take a look at what deck Red World is on while we have a second. You have to have that information handy, Rhino.
Red World. All right, Red World is on a Praxis mid-range list. So 4 Flame Blasts, 2 Obliterates, a bunch of 4 Heart of the Vault, 4 Predatory Carnosaur. I don't know if I'd call this Praxis mid-range or big Praxis, maybe. But yeah, just a lot of 4-ofs, super straightforward. Going to draw cards, ramp a little, and then just play a bunch of fatties and burn spells. Just 4 Initiates, 4 Torch, 4 Friendly Wisp, 4 Temple Scribe, 4 Amber Acolyte, 4 Dawnwalker, 4s all the way down. Xenon Obelisk, Heart of the Vault, Predatory Carnosaur. Just straightforward beats. In the meantime, as you mentioned, we saw Lunix earlier, so how about we just refresh on what that was? This was the Granite Ring special, right?
Yeah, this was, in fact, the Granite Ring special. The FTS mid-range deck, mostly a Xenon-style mid-range deck, splashing in fire for notable includes such as Torch, Quarry, Statuary Maiden, Champion of Chaos, and of course the 1-up Granite Ring that we saw him use to great effect in his earlier match.
All right, so we've got Red World with a trio of Temple Scribes, which Lunex will just play an Ion into and start beating down with. The Lunex finds the Fire Source, could play the Champion of Chaos, but elects to play the old 5/6 Sandstorm Titan here instead. So Red World building up their hand and resources right now after that opening. And as I mentioned, they've got 8 6-drops, so we'll check out their hand via a Lunex's Varus choice, and we'll take out a Predatory Carnosaur. Of course, another one still lurks in the hand, and the Lunex will start bashing in.
Yeah, it was pretty nice to just gut the Predatory Carnosaur a little bit. Definitely with Red World coming up on turn 6 here, so only going to have to worry about 1 Predatory Carnosaur, which, unfortunately will be taking care of his Sandstorm Titan here, assuming Red World has a 6 power, which we do see, and the Sandstorm Titan is going to be no more.
Right, so Carnosaur takes down the Titan, but Lunex has 2 Champions of Chaos, both of which have Deadly, so Red World will need we'll either have to trade units straight up with them or find some torches to take care of them, as they, will only have 3 health. Looks like we're still okay. So Lunex may opt to not play both out here, but I think that'd be pretty surprising. And yeah, both Deadly champions in play now.
Yeah, happy to slay them both right away. Be curious to see if Red World has 1 or multiple torches here. That would definitely help him a lot, taking care of these Champions of Chaos. Going to make him pretty hesitant to swing in with the Predatory Carnosaur. Wonder if he has, anything else like a Heart of the Vault, maybe. Well, it looks like he's actually willing to trade the Predatory Carnosaur off. Maybe signals that he has a lot more gas in his hand. Although we only saw an Archive Curator when choice was played, so hard to imagine what Red World's got in his hand.
All right. Well,
yeah, Heart of the Vault.
I have Red World's hand cam up now. Might be up on coverage shortly, or might already be on coverage. So Red World's looking at an Archive Curator, so can silence the Champion of Chaos and get rid of its Deadly if he so chooses. Also has a Friendly Wisp, but has no companion to trigger it, and a big old Flame Blast. So that was what that little delay was there on Red World's turn, was setting up the broadcast settings for us so we can take a peek at what he's doing. Yeah, here we go. The beats continue from this 4/3 Deadly.
Yeah, and Red World's got the Friendly Wisp, but nothing to trigger it right now. It's not exactly where he wants to be. He could just go ahead and silence off this champion with the Archive Curator. I have to imagine that's going to be coming down.
Yeah,
very soon.
I think he's trying to be patient with this Archive Curator because these are post-board matchups, and saving it for something like Statuary Maiden when you have all these like little dorks lying around could be more important, especially when you are packing things like torches that are a nice answer already to this 4/3 Deadly creature. But opts to relent and get slammed down the Curator here. And yeah, now we're at a bit of a stalemate. Lunex has a Predatory Carnosaur, but again, they're both kind of just saving their big answers, or at least attempting to save their big answers for other big threats. I would be tempted if I was the Lunex to get the Carnosaur down here, backed up by double Annihilate and Torch, and your opponent's at 16. That's quite a bit of pressure. Instead, he swings with the 3/3 and then annihilates after the block. I get swinging in the hopes of a triple block there, but then can't even follow up with the Carnosaur. Might be a little too conservative here against a deck that could just burn you out of nowhere. Of course, Lunex is at 30 health, so I guess he's not too worried about it.
Yeah, and now Lunex is solidly in the driver's seat now. I mean, he's got plenty of answers in his hand. He's going to be able to ambush in this Ion at the end of Red World's turn. Red World just has not found any of his limits yet.
Yeah, not sure why Lunex is holding on to this Seed of Mystery. Is he playing like Mystic Ascendant? Oh, okay. Yeah, Lunex is playing Mystic Ascendant. I had the wrong Fire Time Shadow list up, so that's a very good reason to hold on to Seed of Mystery here. And yeah. All right.
In the meantime, Lunex is going to drop a torch here on the Amber Acolyte, come out ahead on these trades, and he's dropped Red World to 7. Red World's looking pretty hurt right now, although he does find a Heart of the Vault off the top of his deck. Going to warp that in. Let's see what the card he picks up is. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, those were the two cards drawn from Friendly Wisp.
Yeah, Friendly Wisp draws first, and then it is the Heart of the Vault. So reduced cost Obelisk instead of reduced cost Titan. That's not bad. Notably, this Time Weaver is probably going to miss this Predatory Carnosaur. So while it's a neat card, it would have been cool to make Predatory Carnosaur cost 12. Not going to happen there. Now Linux decides to play the seat. Okay. But here we go. Time Weaver turns one of the Annihilates into a 4-cost thing. And yeah, here we go. Heart of the Vault turning things around quickly here. It looked like Red World was on the ropes, and now he might be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, he very likely could be here, although double Annihilate here out of a Lunex would allow him to push through at least 6 damage, though he does have to lose the Carnosaur. I wonder if that's worth it if you're in a Lunex's position. I mean, you're playing 4 copies of Torch, right? Like, you take care of everything on the board except Heart of the Vault and the Wisp, and you're still left with 2 3/3s.
Well, you're playing 3 copies of Torch, but yeah, I could have seen going all in there and trying to close it out, especially when you know your opponent just drew a boatload of cards. But opting to go the conservative route, now his resources might just get overwhelmed, especially because he played out his power with a deck featuring Mystic Ascendants. I doubt he sided out the Ascendants, but yeah, now Red World's got an active Obelisk, a bunch of units beating down, and Lunix is just ripping more power. He was going for the Ion activation, and we'll just bring back a large silenced Sandstorm Titan that can go toe-to-toe with that 8/8. Sure, that makes sense, going for the Ion activation.
Sure, and this has brought us back to a nice little board stall here. I don't think a lot of attacks are going to be coming in one way or another, although Red World in theory could just try and push here soon. Like, he can just ace base at some point with the 13 damage Flame Blast. He only needs to find 6 more.
Yeah, but your opponent also has a 3 points of life steal there that you have to be a little wary of. Like, that matters. And Lunix finds that Torch we mentioned earlier. If he had taken that ace base line, opted not to. And okay, now Red World also has an Obliterate. But Flame Blast is going to be enough here. 14 damage to the face, and a Lunix goes down.
So Red World taking the series down 2-1 over a Lunex with a massive Flame Blast at the end there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, re-looking at the game, I mean, both players played very well. I think the only line that could have shaken that game up a lot was that a Lunex line where he had to kind of, choose to all in there and put his opponent down to 1. I mean, the Predatory had to get blocked. The Ion would have still survived, guaranteed. There was only 1 block, and he had to block the Predatory Carnosaur to not lose that turn. So you would have been able to keep your Ion for the bring the Sandstorm Titan back later, and it still drew you into more outs. So I think that was the one line a Lunex had to play around. But even still, I mean, it really just came down to Red World hitting some key drops at key times, like the Heart of the Vault, being able to proc the Friendly Wisp, then drawing into the discounted Obelisk. There was just a lot of good things going Red World's way there toward the end of the game.
Yeah, that was a tricky game to navigate, especially from the Lunix perspective, where you think you have the inevitability in that matchup, and it appeared that way for most of that game. And then Praxis just showing off how explosive Heart of the Vault can be, especially paired with Friendly Wisp. He just loaded up his hand and just dumpstered a Lunix with just tons of cards after that. And a Lunix only really drew power after that and couldn't keep up.
Yeah, it was definitely a beating there towards the end with Red World, and culminating in that, of course, 14 damage Flame Blast. Plus, he had Obliterate too, so there was plenty of burn at that point. He would have been able to represent 20 points of damage over 2 turns with his burn spells. So that was just his game at that point. Once he could dominate the ground. So congratulations to Red World there for locking that one down. What were the scores of the players before that match? Do we have any information on that? Were they 3-1 there?
Were
they 4-0? Let's take a look real quick at the bracket.
Yeah, we'll check.
Okay, so yeah, Red World was 3-1. I think the Lunix was 3-1 as well, unless that was a pared down match. So that was probably an elimination match for Lunex based on how the bracket is. Not confirmed, though. We'll have to see. But
Yeah.
Red World, keeping his tournament life alive, he's going to be going on to the 6th round to play his winning in. So that's basically going to do it for us for this round, folks. Before we go, we just want to let you know about aReNGeEternal.com. Of course, they're the ones who put on the Eternal Tournament series. That's aReNGee, the letters aReNGee, Eternal.com. You can check out daily articles written by some of the best players in the game. Of course, we have Loco Pojo, Lights Out Ace, Neon Blonde, Rekenner. Sorry, I said best players in the game. Let's scratch the last one. We got aReNGee, of course, the founder. On top of that, we have ranked tier list you can check out. We're in the process of building the tier list right now. I do think it is currently up, although the whole ladder is in flux right now, so that's definitely going to be changing soon. We will have stock deck lists coming out very soon, though they are not currently up for the new sets. If you're looking for anything out of set 1, of course, we still do have some stock deck lists. But the new deck lists haven't come out quite yet, as we're waiting to kind of just fine-tune the deck list and see where the format shakes out. You can also find tournament information on all the ETS, as well as our fun tournaments that we host. So if you're looking for any of that information, or you just want to get some general knowledge, head on down to www.aReNGeEternal.com. Other than that, I think that's going to do it for us for the round. So we will be back in just a few moments, folks, with coverage of round 6. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere.